Alright, so today we are going to be going through the steps to make a contact sheet. We've gone through this already as a class, but this is our first larger contact sheet. So, first thing you're going to do is if you just go ahead and do a right click on your home screen, you're going to make a new folder. You're going to name it DigiPhoto and then put your ID number. Now, if you already have a DigiPhoto folder on your desktop, go ahead and just edit it to change it to your DigiPhoto and your ID. Just this way we can keep all of our stuff here. And then I still want us to be practicing backing everything up to the Google Drive just because other people do use this computer and so therefore they can access your files. But for now, this is just how we're gonna have to make do, okay? So I'm gonna just go ahead and trash that because I already have my folder, but just make sure on your desktop you got something that says something with DigiPhoto and then preferably your ID number. All right, then next thing we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and open up Adobe Bridge. You can go ahead and full screen this. Now I have favorited my folder here, so I think since I changed the name it just backed out, but if I go ahead to my desktop, I can now see that DigiPhoto, and if I go ahead and do a right click on this, I can go ahead and add to favorites. Now, it's just easier to find because I know it's going to be right here, and I don't have to go searching in all of my folders over here, okay? So, I'm going to go ahead, locate that just because now when I go into my SD card, I'm going to pull over any photos that I want to put into my contact sheet into this folder. Alright, so now that that's all situated, I'm going to go up to computer and I'm going to see two drives here. So if I hit command and then the plus sign on my keyboard, I can make that a little bit bigger, or you can toggle this down here. Doesn't really matter for this yet, but when you're looking at the pictures, it makes things easier. So this is my SD card. It's labeled as Nikon because I previously used a Nikon camera and it just overrided. Yours is going to say something like no name or untitled. So you're going to be looking for one of those two things. I haven't seen any other things, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't be named a possible third thing. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead into it. So double clicking on these folders will open them up. I'm going to go into my folder where I'm taking, where I can find the pictures I've taken. And then here, I'm viewing them on my SD card. So as I'm seeing them, the only place that they are is my SD card. If I were to erase a photo, so if I were to take this one and get rid of it, delete up here. If I were to hit delete here, it's going to give me a little second error message. Then I'm not going to be able to bring these back. It's going to delete them for good. So you can delete things from here if you want to clear room off of your SD card. Like I have this picture of nothing, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that because I don't need that. But then you can keep them here. But I'm going to go ahead and select all of these. So if I wanted to select all of these, I can either hit the command key and select multiple photos. If I don't hold down the command key, it's just going to select the photo that I clicked on last. Or if I wanted to select them all, I could go ahead and click on my screen and drag, and then it will pull up. And this gets a little bit touchy sometimes. So I can select that, and then I can go ahead and hit my command key, and then I can select some more after that. Oof. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and pull these over. So I don't need that. I don't need this one. I'm going to go ahead and pull these over into my DigiPhoto folder. It's going to give me a little bit of a load screen. Now while I'm here, this shouldn't be in here. I shouldn't be making folders within my SD card, so that should go over there. And then I can definitely clear out these photos that were just me, I think, showing off how to use the shutter. So I'm gonna go ahead, select multiple, hit delete. It's gonna delete all of those at the same time. Alright, so now I'm gonna go work from this folder here. So here are where I have all of my photo information. So I can go ahead and start to select things from here. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a folder within my folder. So here you can see I've already done this. For you, you're gonna go ahead, just go to an empty space here, do a right click, and then you're gonna hit new folder. If that's difficult, you can also go up to file, new folder, and it'll create one that way, okay? We're gonna name this one LST project, and then you're gonna hit enter. I'm not, because I already have the folder. And then I'm just gonna go through and select the photos that I wanna use for my LST project. So that would all be like these ones right here. I can drag and pull. Up to wherever. All right. And then I would just go ahead and drag and drop those into this folder. It's gonna be telling me that I'm replacing this. I don't want to do this, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit cancel. But you're gonna go ahead, it's not gonna give you that error message. So now if I go into here, I have all of these images that I'm going to create a contact sheet with. So if I look down here, you can see it says 59 items. With those 59 items, I only want 24 of them. So now I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna be selective, like look at some of my duplicates and decide, you know, which one's the one that I'm gonna go with for going forward. They're both pretty similar, so I'm gonna go ahead and select this one. This image is great. This one, I think of these two, I liked the second one better because it showed more of like the sewer grate. And then you would just select. After you reach 10, like after 9 items, it'll start to show you how many items are selected here. So I'm just gonna continue to select my items. I already kind of have a good idea of the pictures that I wanted to carry on, so I'm moving a little faster than you probably will. And I'm at 21, so I need 3 more. And my 24th. Okay, so now I've selected these items. So now I'm gonna go ahead and with all my 24 items selected, I'm gonna go up to Tools right here. So right there, gonna select this, gonna go to Photoshop, and then I'm gonna go ahead and pick of these options Contact Sheet 2, okay? So then that's gonna pull up Photoshop. So Bridge talks to Photoshop, so I'm gonna go ahead, gonna hit OK on that. It's gonna open up Photoshop, and then it's gonna ask me kind of some of the, you know, logistics for the contact sheet. So we're working with 24 files here. So with that, we want to go to columns and rows. You want to change your columns to 6 and you want to change your rows to 4. Just kind of the best setup there. And then you're going to go ahead and hit OK. And then it's just going to go ahead and auto-generate that for you. So it's going to lay everything out given the, you know, rows and columns that you gave it. All right, and there we have it, our contact sheet. Now we need to go ahead and start to add in the metadata. So I'm going to go back into Bridge. I'm going to go ahead and just pull this into a half screen. And then I'm going to kind of zoom out because I want to be able to see these pictures separately, okay? So, with the metadata, I need to go ahead and pull up my first picture. So that would be this one right here. So I just want to make sure I'm only clicked on that picture. Because if I'm selected on two, it's not going to show me my metadata because it's not the same. So go ahead, click on your first picture. You're looking right over here at your metadata, so I can see that my metadata is an f-stop of 7.1, my shutter speed was 1/60, and then my ISO is 125. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to type that information underneath this picture over here. So I'll click back into Photoshop. One thing to note is if I'm clicked into Photoshop, it'll say it up here. If I'm clicked into Bridge, that'll change. So if you're having trouble with it, like not working, just make sure that you are clicked into the right application. I can go ahead and I can zoom in Photoshop, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull up my text tool. Okay, so here's my text tool. If you click on it, you'll see it like that. We're also going to be using the move tool, which is this one up here. So if I wanted to pull up the text tool quickly, I can just hit T on my keyboard instead of going over and clicking this, and then it will pull up the text tool. So I already have some stuff preloaded here. You're going to keep your text, you're going to use the move tool to readjust your text, so the size doesn't really matter. And then also you can just pick a color that's going to stand out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start to type in my metadata by clicking here, looking over onto Bridge, and then I'm going to type in my f-7.1, give a space, 1/60, and then my ISO of 125. All right, so then if I go over to my move tool, it will stop treating it as like a text box, and it's going to just treat it as like an object that you can resize. For the vertical pictures, you don't have a whole lot of space, so just kind of fit it where you can. And then obviously for the horizontal photos, you're going to have more space. But I'm just going to continue on and do this for each photo, and you'll create a new text layer. So if I go over here, create a new text layer, I need to click into Bridge and pull up the next photo. So I go back and then type in my f-7.1. It looks like everything was the same except for my ISO. And then I'll resize that. Try to line it up with the ones before it just to make it look nice. And then I'm just going to continue on. You don't need to watch me do all of that. The last thing I'm going to tell you to do is to just put a little like title on these. So I'm going to go ahead and just do my last name, LST, and contact sheet. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put that in the middle top portion of here of my contact sheet, just so I know whose contact sheet I'm looking at when I'm grading these later. Okay, so the last thing that I'll show you how to do, obviously you're going to have all of these filled out, but you're going to need to save these and export them. So I need to go ahead and do file save as first. It's going to say contact sheet 001. I don't want that. I want it to be Edmonds, and then in your case, your last name, LSTCS. So LST contact sheet, and then you're going to go hit save. It's going to save that as a PSD. We know that that means that all of the layers are still separate. And then also make sure I didn't check the file location. So I saved to my desktop. We don't want to do that. We want to save to your personal DigiPhoto ID number so that we can start to kind of keep our stuff separate from our class, from our peers in other classes. So I'm gonna go ahead, hit save into my folder. I already did this, so I'm not gonna go ahead and replace that because I have a finished version already, but you'll go ahead and hit save. Then, for the sake of just going through the steps, I'll hit number 2. Then you're gonna need to export it when you're all done. So this means that all of the metadata is labeled for each photo. So you're gonna go to File, Export in Photoshop, Export As, and then you're gonna make sure that this is it's gonna default to PNG, but you're gonna go ahead and just make sure that this says JPEG. Everything else you can leave the way that it is, and then you'll go ahead and hit export. So it's going to ask you again where you want to save this to. Again, find your folder, and then go ahead and save that to your own personal folder. And then in the end, you should have something that looks like this. Alright, so that should be your final product. I also put this in Google Classroom, so you can go ahead and look for that there as well. Alright, hopefully this helps, and happy contact sheet making.